What's up, guys? It's Jimmy Kerr from the SmallTown Collectibles YouTube channel. So, started my YouTube channel a few months ago. Been doing some mystery box unboxings and wanted to come up with some other content that wasn't just unboxings. And I host a podcast with some guys here, and it was kind of a natural jump over for me to maybe do an interview series with YouTubers, people who have channels the size of mine, or maybe bigger, but just to find out a little bit about why they do what they do on YouTube, talk to them a little bit about the hobby that we all love. And so my first guest on 10 Questions with SmallTown Collectibles is Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy. Gary B was one of the very first people to ever reach out to me in the comments, and I've developed a friendship with Gary, and we sat down and had an interview together, had a great time. It was cool actually getting to meet Gary. I've talked to him 1,000 times in the comments, but to actually really meet him, and sit down and have a conversation with him was a whole lot of fun. So this is 10 Questions with Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you, Jimmy, for having me on a channel. I certainly appreciate it.
No problem, man.
I'll be your first 10 questions guest, so I'm ready to get to where you are.
Well, you were one of the first people when I started my YouTube channel. You were one of the first people to really comment on a lot of the videos I was making. And, and that has grown kind of into a friendship, through YouTube, which I find crazy. I'm old, so I'm used to talking to people on the phone or actually meeting people. To actually form a friendship, through YouTube, it's kind of new for me. But yeah, I thought who better to be my first guest on 10 Questions than Gary B. So Gary, question number one, what or who got you into collecting?
It was just mostly my love for reading. I've always been a voracious reader growing up, and didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, but I remember a friend of my dad's, I don't know who it was, but gave him a big old book of comics. And it was kind of my first experience with comic books. It was a bunch of old Brave and the Bold, which is where my love for the blue and the gray Batman suit comes from. It's always going to be my favorite. That was my introduction to Batman, the Neil Adams. And so it was that, and then Conan. And then once I discovered Roy Thomas and his writing, it was all gone from there.
Cool. So I find this question because and I asked this question. Question two is, why did you start a YouTube channel? And I want to know the answer to that because I know why I did it. And I just wonder, as I watch all these people, there's thousands of YouTube channels. Like, why did Gary B decide he wanted to do a YouTube channel?
It's an easy question. It's probably a two-part question. First part is I'm also a gamer. I'm a big PlayStation guy. I've had since PlayStation 1, and now I'm PlayStation 4. My kid is an even bigger gamer. He loves games. He's more of a Switch person, Nintendo games, and he loves them. And, if you have kids, you get introduced to YouTube rather soon. And, my kid can't grasp the concept that there was a time before YouTube.
Right.
But, he watches his favorite gamers and their broadcasts, and it's something that he has a passion for. I'm like, well, you can certainly do that when you get older. Don't really want you on camera now. But I'm like, well, if I'm going to let my kid do this, I better do it first and see how this stuff operates. If I'm going to help him, I'm going to need the knowledge myself. But what do I want to talk about? What do I have a passion for? And that was reading and comics. And it seemed like comics were blowing up on YouTube at the time. So I go, well, I'm going to try it. May as well try now. And at least if nothing happens with mine, then that's okay. At least I'll gain some knowledge to help him in the future.
That's cool. It's a great reason to start one. Very similar to the reason why I started mine. And mine was, I've said it before, but my kids we were having breakfast and we were just talking about YouTube, and they were like, oh, I would love to do that. And I'm like, well, why don't you? Why not? And they were like, oh, no, we can't do that. We couldn't do it. And that really bothered me, Gary, because I have taught my kids that you can literally do anything. Okay. You got to have the guts and you're going to have to work. But at the end of the day, you can literally do anything. And they were like, no. I said, well, watch, I'll do it. And so I started my channel. So yeah, I find that cool that you kind of started so you can help your kid. And I started to prove to my kids that you can. You can literally do anything. So question 3. Since you started your channel, what has the community meant to you? And what is your favorite comment that you've ever received from a viewer?
So this is an awesome question. I like this one. I have my comment picked out. But first, the community. At first, I was just an observer, watching channels I liked. Didn't really think much about it. And then you get into this community, and the first person who reached out and gave me a helping hand was Stevie B over at Stevie B's Comics channel. I had just started my channel. I had 5 subs. I was surprised I even had 5. I hadn't even made a video. So I don't know who the 5 were, but I had 5 subs. And I'm watching one of Stevie B's videos one day, and he mentions my name at the end and says, hey, this guy's just starting out. He's only got 5 subs. We can do better than that for him, right? And I got my first couple bumps off Stevie B, who I'm going to always be eternally grateful for and never going to forget. That was the first guy who took notice of my little nothing nobody channel and gave me a shout out. I'm just some old guy talking about books, and not that my production value is great now, but it was even worse then. You go back, and it's like, how did I get to 200 subs? How did this happen? I don't get it. I don't know. And my favorite comment happened on my 200 sub giveaway, and I wrote it down because I want to read it because it was actually really special to me. I actually had to take a moment, and it's one of those feelings you get when you just feel good about everything you're doing at that moment. And it's from Spider-Man Collectibles. And I know you've probably checked out the channel. I've shouted him out. A guy and his son, and the son's the face of the channel. But this is what he wrote. I'm in my early 40s, and my kid AJ, who's the face of our channel, both really like your channel. 2 separate generations, yet we both appreciate how you present your content. It's one of the few channels we watch content together. And that last part
is awesome.
Here I am. I'm a 50-year-old man talking books, and this 40-year-old dude and his son are having father-son time watching my channel together. And as a father, anything you do one-on-one time with your kids is just magic and golden. And that I could be like some of that moment here and there for 2 other people out there. It's just absolutely amazing to me.
That's fantastic. That's a great comment, and I do like. I love AJ and their editing and the things that they do. And Arthur messaged me the other day. It's really clever. I mean, it's really good, and that's one of the things since I started my channel. My daughter was helping me edit the videos at first. And that's why they're better in the beginning than they are now. But she kind of taught me how to do it. And so I started. So the editing for me, as far as the YouTube channel, is one of the funnest parts, is to sit down and try to edit and do different things. Just like doing this StreamYard and putting these little things up on the screen that have our names. And, that's the part of that for me is what I like. But I think that's a great comment. That's a great pick as far as a comment goes. I mean, I was hoping you were going to pick one of my, phenomenal comments, but I guess if AJ gets it and Arthur, that's fine.
Right, I know, right? It was my favorite comment easily. It was just, man. Anytime that anything connects a parent to their child, it's magical.
Well, and I find myself drawn to channels that is the parent and the kid. Because my kids are getting older. They're at that age now. I have 2 daughters, and they're getting at that age now to where I don't really exist, right? And so I'm having trouble with that because I've tried to be a real active father in their lives, and like you said, any moment that you can have with your kid is golden. And for me right now, that's especially true. Just because they're getting older, they're teenagers. They're kind of going through that. I went through that myself.
Right, they'll come back.
Yeah. And so, but no, and that's what I think I'm kind of drawn to those. All right. So question 4, what do you like about the community and what changes do you think could benefit the community?
What I like about the community is actually just the group nature of the community. Everybody not everybody, but most of the community seems to like to band together. Mm-hmm. You got great people doing great things for everybody. some people that I don't get to mention, people that have reached out to me. I mean, obviously, there's you. There's Jason at Slotted Up 503. There's Taylor Winder, like I said before, Stevie B, even Amanda at 6 and 6 Collectibles. And then you're talking about great people you meet on Instagram, because this community isn't just contained to YouTube.
Right.
It's spread over both platforms. And you got Sith Lordley, who I don't get to check out enough of his content, but that dude's helping everybody all the time. Just a great stand-up dude in the community. Him, you got Russ over at Collect What. He always has some knowledge, always trying to point something out before it gets hot. Just people that are looking out in the community. A lot of people out there that just want to help and want to see other people be helped. You know, just a rising tide lifts all boats kind of situation.
So is there anything about the community? Because I agree, that has been I guess the most pleasant surprise for me starting a channel, because I don't think I actually knew, you know, that the community would band so tight, because, you know, there's a certain group of people you almost always see in your comments, you know, that are sharing your videos, that are shouting you out, that are doing those things. And I didn't realize that. But is there anything about, because that part's great, but is there anything about the community that you would change?
A little bit. And it's not like the part I want to change is bad. It's just not what I like to focus on. Is the chase aspect. To me, comics are about the love of reading and about a good storyline. Now, I enjoy having a good, valuable book as much as anybody else, but I think sometimes the valuable book takes precedence over its inherent value as something you can read and absorb and share as a community. You know, if you and I both connect to a good storyline, we could talk about that story forever.
Sure.
You know, hey, Gundam 29's hot, and I can get $1,000 for it right now. That's it's very transitory. It's very transparent to me, and it doesn't have lasting value in building relationships or friends or community. It's an aspect of it that I understand has to exist, but it's not one that I'm focused on. And it might be something as simple as I'm not a big time spender. So that's never been a focus for me. It's not a focus because I spend my money in other areas. You know, my kid.
Sure.
But I'd like to see that balance more from people value hunting to hunting more based on what good storytelling is. Stories that tie people together and bind people together. Just like I said with Spider-Man Collectibles, him and his son, I bet the most valuable stuff they have together is stuff they can read together and have a conversation about, not how much they paid for that book.
Right. That's a great answer. And, you know, that's one of the things I've always been kind of narrow as far as what I would read, you know, because I always liked DC. Superman's my favorite, you know, Batman, and then I would read some other things. And I kind of got into indie books a little bit, and I think those are really good for the story. I think I heard you say in one of your videos the other day, like Scout Comics, for example. I've never read anything bad from Scout Comics. I actually enjoy their content. And so I think that's a great, while I enjoy like for me, especially like doing the channel, a lot of what I get, I don't know how to really phrase this, but one of the things that I enjoy, like I'll get these books, and they're books that I would have never read, okay, that I wouldn't have necessarily picked up for myself to read. Well, now I got them, and I like to read, so I read them. And I have found other stories that I've really enjoyed, and I've went and bought the trade so I could read the whole thing, or I've dug up the other comics so I could read the whole story. That's been really cool, and that's something that I wouldn't have done otherwise.
And that's something I've actually gotten out of mystery boxes.
Absolutely.
When I were talking about Scout Comics, and I know a lot of people don't like the Comic Tom 101 channel or the boxes. I've never had an issue with it. Everyone's doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm. I
enjoy the content. I enjoy the boxes. I've never not gotten my value out of them. But one of them I got, and it had Scout Comics in it. Well, I've never heard of them. And I'm like, well, don't dismiss it. You haven't read it. Picked it up, read it, and it was It Eats What Feeds It One, which ended up being
great
stories of the year absolutely loved it. And if I wouldn't have got that mystery box or taken a chance on it and just followed myself instead of listening to what other people say, I would have never got that great storyline, would have never had that great reading experience. And that's where my love for Scout Comics began, is really out of those boxes.
Cool. Yeah, no, and that's one of the things really, like one of the boxes that I've been getting is Grant's Comics. Do you know that one?
I do. I watched you open 2 of them. You got
Yeah.
the family one and another one.
Yeah, the Trick or Treat, I think is what it was. Yeah. But that's one thing about his boxes is you're not going to get like the home run hitter. You're going to get a slab. He puts a slab in every one, and that's nice. But what's really cool about his boxes is you get this big variety. Like there's all kinds of books in those things. I mean, he'll put 30 books in one. And so you end up with this wide spectrum of things to read. And I've honestly picked up different titles that I'm like, wow, that was pretty good, you know, and it was older, and then I'll go and research it and read because I like to read too. So that's, you know, that works for me. All right. So question 5, and I'm really interested to hear the answer to this one. So you said you're married, right, and have a kid?
Correct.
What do your significant others think about the hobby, and how does it affect your personal life?
They think it's great. One, my wife is an absolutely wonderful person. As you can see through this face, I'm ugly as the day is long, and my wife is absolutely gorgeous, and my kids amazing. But one thing with my wife and I, we've been together 18 years now, and we both work. My wife works super hard. I work super hard. We both work a lot. Our kid sees our work ethic. He sees how we both work hard to provide for the family, and just to have the not important things that we have. And that's my kid sneaking in on me right now. Hi, buddy. I'm live on someone's channel, buddy. And I'm great though. And one of the things we've always had in our family is, you know, my wife works hard, I work hard. If our bills are paid, food's on the table, and our kids happy, we don't tell each other what to spend our money on or what we can or can't buy. Neither one of us are controlling like that. We have a lot of freedom within our relationship, and it's fantastic. If my wife goes and buys something, there's no reason for her to tell me. She'll show me because she's excited for it, what she got, but I don't care what she spent money on. She works. If she wants to buy something, go buy it. And she's got the same attitude towards me. And, you know, it's just been fantastic. You know, I mean, I'm just thankful, like I said, that she's put up with this ugly mug for 18 years.
Well, you're probably like me. I outkick my coverage, and I know it. And, yeah, no, I'm the same way, brother. All right, so since you do mystery boxes, is there a favorite mystery box for you? Like, do you have a favorite one that you open?
I do. I got, I would say it's tough. Let's talk 2 corporate boxes first, and then we'll talk IG boxes.
Okay.
Corporate boxes, and a lot of people bang on them too, is boxed heroes. But I find the people that bang on them mostly are grail hunters. You don't buy boxed heroes for grails.
Mm-mm.
I've hit the GP before. You get a nice little slab. It's probably worth, you know, $70 or $80. That's not bad. Fun book, great slab. The last slab I got, I gave out as an A-OK because it didn't fit in my collection. But I still got a slab, and it was signed with 3 signatures.
Oh, wow. So
not bad. But I like the variety of boxed heroes. I like the quality of the books you get. When you get books, they're not all beat to hell. The books are in great shape. They put them in my light with a backing board. So the presentation is important. If you're going to send me books, don't send them raw, unbagged. The books are just getting damaged on the way to me. And you were talking about OCD earlier. I'm OCD about the condition of things I own because I have to work hard to get what I want. And when I buy something, I'm going to keep it in that shape forever until my wife or kid break it on me. And but I'm everything in its place. If I have something, it like instantly. I mean, even in my haul videos, you see, I don't even do a haul video until I put everything I bought that day in a bag and board, just so it's protected. I have to do it.
Yeah.
to. I can't not do it. It'll drive me nuts. But so the boxed heroes, one, I like the variety. I love the older books with the mix of the new books, and I think they're the most consistent. I'm sorry, I know I go off tangent quite a bit. And like I said earlier, I do like the Comic Town 101 boxes. I like his exclusives. I think they're well thought out. I think they're nice books. They definitely hold value. I haven't sold any of his exclusives. I've traded them to people. Well, I take that back. I did sell one in a package on an Instagram sale last week that I made. It didn't fit in my collection. Beautiful book, great book, but it wasn't for me. But but what those two boxes tend to have in them too is something I can A-OK to a friend. If I don't like it, I know someone that does. If it's Batman, I don't have to throw it out anymore. I can just send it to Jason.
Right.
You know, saves me a trip to the garbage can. You know, so no, just kidding. There's nothing wrong with Batman. Just want to pick on Jason a little, but I like them because they have a variety. There's usually at least 4 or 5 books that can fit in my PC that I like, and the other ones are still good books that I can give to someone else that will really get something out of them. For Instagram, it's just I need to highlight. Yeah, man, I got comics. I've never ever received a bad box from Yeah Man. He gives you great value. The value is always there, and like I said, I'm not a grail hunter, but if you're paying for something, you at least want the value there. That's you work hard for your money. You don't want to spend it and get half the value of what you spent back. And his books are in great shape. He does small runs, so it's fun to get a GP. We all like that. Like we're doing with Jimmy Jam's boxes when we do our box off against you, me, and Jason. It's a 1/20 chance of winning the GP. I like those smaller runs like that where you have a more legit chance of hitting a GP. Adds a little more excitement to the boxes, and the Instagram sellers seem to be collectors, so they know that when you buy from them, they know that you're expecting value from them, and they give that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I actually just finished opening a boxed hero, I guess, for October. That'll be on the videos next week. And that was the second, well, actually the third box. I opened 2 in one video, and that was the third one I opened. And so far, I dig it, man. I mean, like the boxed heroes for me was good. Yeah, man, I got comics is great. I really like Grant's comics. Like I said, I've done 2 boxes of his. I love his boxes. I think they're great. And it's surprising because I'm like you. I'm not necessarily, now I buy grails for myself, okay? Like I collect big dollar books, but when I'm buying these boxes, that's really not what I'm buying them for. You know, it was at first, but as I started, it's just funny how it has changed for me from the very first box I opened until now, and really what I'm looking for out of the boxes. It's changed for me, which is interesting.
And I like the other side of the argument. I've seen other people on YouTube make great arguments, and I think Nick Grab is one. Like, I generally don't spend over $50 on a mystery box. One, it's not in my budget to spend over that. I can't really justify it. I could spend that on my kid buying him something, and that's just how I think as a parent.
Sure.
But if I'm going to spend over $40 or $50, then it's going to go towards a grail book. And I've always agreed with Nick Grab on YouTube about that. Instead of spending $200 on a Hope, I'm going to buy a grail that's important to me in my collection. And that's where my thought is on that.
I agree.
I'm on that because I've seen them watch other people open boxes. Like, well, you could have took that and bought a grail. And that's a slippery slope too, because I'm not one to I will never tell anybody how to spend their money. If you got the money, it's your money. You earned it. You spend it any way you see fit that makes you happy in your life. I didn't earn your money. You earned it. That's yours to spend any way you see fit. So I will never criticize anyone for how they buy or spend. But for me personally, I kind of have the Nick Grab thinking on that. If it's going to be that much money, I'm going to spend it on a grail.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right. So speaking of grails, question number 7, what is your personal grail?
My personal grail, Conan the Barbarian, #1. I got it this year. I'm a pretty busy guy. As you've heard me say in my videos, I work a lot. And I do a lot of things for my bosses for my district managers that is above and beyond, but they're good bosses and they're good at recognition. And I got a pretty good bonus for some stuff I did. And I told my wife I was getting a bonus. She knows what I've always chased them. She goes, why don't you just go get that book you've always wanted your whole life? And I think the door was still swinging before she had a chance to draw breath.
You were like the Flash. It was like, okay. Yeah.
Fastest my short legs have ever taken me anywhere. I only got it in a 6L because that's the money I was comfortable spending. But I got my Conan #1, and so now it's in my PC. It presents a lot higher, and the reason it's a 6.0 is there's a ding on the top, and it's okay. But I paid $300 for a 6.0. Would a 9.8 be nice? Yes, but I don't want to spend $5,500 on one book.
Right.
It was fine. I own the book. It looks great. I can say I have it in my collection, and I'm perfectly happy. And I knocked out quite a few grails this year. I got Spider-Woman 1 was a grail of mine. So I got that. I picked that up in a 6.5. I picked it up raw, sent it out, was hoping for higher. And I'm really feeling it showing because I've never done it from this angle before. I won a Miss Marvel #1, 8.5. I won it in a raffle from Chips Comics on Instagram for $10. Can't beat that, right? You get a grail for $10. And then one of my other ones I picked up this year was Red Sonja #1, the old Marvel series. Not an expensive grail. You can get the book in near mint raw for $20 or $30, and I got it for that, and I sent it out and got it graded. I have it in 9.4. What I'm chasing now, though, I want to get Marvel Spotlight 32 is the grail I really want now. I've gotten these out of the way, but that's the very first appearance of Spider-Woman. So I really want to get Marvel Spotlight 32. And then I have 3 Marvel Feature 1s, which is the first Red Sonja in Marvel. After, of course, her appearances in Conan 23 and 24. But it's her first solo run, and I want to get that in a high grade. I have 3 of them I think are at least an 8.0. But I want to get that at least in a 9.2, 9.4 area. But those old Marvel Feature 1s are hard to find in great shape just because they've been beat up. They haven't been stored well. And I'm thankful every time I buy them. Every time I see one, I pick it up and buy it. They're not expensive. And that's where I'm fortunate. The books I really love, the ones I love to read, so far there's none that are like $1 million books. They're not $1,000 books. My grails are accessible. But Marvel Spotlight 32 is the one I'm chasing.
Cool. So question 8, and which kind of goes along with what you were just saying, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this because I watch your channel. But who were your favorite characters to collect? I know Conan and Red Sonja. Are those your 2 favorite?
Those are my 2 favorite. It was weird because I grew up collecting Conan and Spider-Man. Spider-Man was always the most accessible hero to me. So he's always been an icon, but Spider-Man's in $500 a month. I can't afford to collect Spider-Man. Hi, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. All right. Mama Bear is going to be mad if she sees you on YouTube.
I love it.
But that's the debut of my son Xavier.
There you go.
Where were we? Oh, so Spider-Man I love. You can't not like Peter Parker. He's so accessible. Always love the stories. Love the Marvel team ups with him. Loved all 3 titles that were going back in the day. But he's just in so much, and I can't even keep up with the reading of him because he's in so many books. That's like you poor DC guys with Batman. You have this deep love for this character, but he's in 17 different titles a month, and you would spend all month every day just reading Batman books just to try to stay current with everything that's going on with him. So it's Conan, it's Red Sonja, and then it's Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman. I've always loved, and Black Cat would be the 5th. I've always loved those 2 characters. Spider-Woman since I was young, Captain Marvel when she was just Miss Marvel back in the day when she first made her debut. Loved the character. Whether they did her right or not in the movie is up to anyone's up to people's own personal opinion. I enjoyed the movie, but I thought there was parts of the story they needed to include that they didn't. So there was hits and misses for me in the movie. But I've always loved the character. I've always loved the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. I like the Jennifer Carpenter one, but the Jessica Drew is my favorite, and that's why Marvel Spotlight 32 is a grail I need to get.
Love it. All right, so these last two questions, 9 and 10, are really, because we can talk about YouTube channels and our favorite comic books and things like that all day. But there's two questions I always wonder, and this is just me, when I'm watching somebody on YouTube, there's two things that I always want to know. So question 9 is, do you have a favorite sports team?
I do.
Who is that?
I am an absolute hockey nut. I love hockey and I love tennis. I know two sports that don't go together. But hey, you're swinging something at another object and hitting it. So that's how close they come.
Right.
Love hockey. Of course, I grew up in the North, so hockey's a part of me. I grew up an hour away from Canada. So I grew up watching Hockey Night in Canada, Canadian Broadcasting Channel. Grow up watching Ron McLean and why the guy. As soon as I go to say his name, oh my gosh, he left me. He's got the colorful suits. I was just gonna tell you his name, and as soon as I went to tell you, it left me. Don Cherry.
Don Cherry, yeah.
And I grew up listening to those guys. It was my childhood, and then being a Devils fan. I used to watch the Habs play all the time. For those of you who don't know, and this is how you know I'm a hockey nerd, the Habs are the Montreal Canadiens, and nobody knows why they're called the Habs unless you're a true hockey fan. It's because it's for les habitants, okay? The inhabitants, all right, guys? So les habitants, they're called the Habs for short, all right? Most of my friends were Habs fans or Rangers fans or Bruins fans. If you're a Rangers fan, I'm sorry, we're sworn enemies. I can't do anything about that. It's just the state. But I love the New Jersey Devils. I was fortunate enough to watch them the whole career of Marty Brodeur, obviously, who was an icon, winningest goalie ever. I was 13 rows behind him when he got his 100th shutout, which was amazing. And down in Philadelphia, every time I've seen the Devils play live, it was in their stadium. They played against the Flyers. And the Flyers have got a lot of flack for bad fans. And I can honestly tell you, I've never, ever watched a game with better fans than Flyers fans. And every time I went down, the Flyers lost. And I was sitting with the Flyers fans, with my buddy, and just had the best time ever. So I have nothing bad to say about Flyers fans. Absolutely incredible people, fun to hang out with, great to watch a hockey game with. And but love the Devils from the Alexander Seamack days and Valeri Zelepukin and John McClain and Craig Billington, Chris Terreri, just to the old ugly uniforms they had when they started out. But they were a team that I could root for that started up, and that's what I went with.
Hockey is one of those things where we live. I mean, I'm in Kentucky, obviously. If you've watched any of my videos, you see this grill to the Wildcats behind me. But hockey is one of those things that there's not really a hockey team around. The closest one to us is Columbus. And were they the Blue Jackets, I think is what they're called?
Yeah. And they got a pretty decent team, too.
Yeah.
They've been solid contenders since they've joined the league.
To never be around hockey, or I'm not even that big of a fan. I don't even really understand it. But there is, outside of going to a baseball game for me, there is nothing better than going to a live hockey game. I mean, it's a hoot. I mean, it is a lot of fun. And so I dig hockey. All right, so the last thing, and I always wonder this, question number 10, is what does Gary B, the casual comic guy, do for a day job?
Well, I help run a warehouse that we inbound product and outbound product to its source, to its destinations. So we're contracted to corporations that send their product to us, and we ship it out. And I manage anywhere from 30 to 50, 60 people at a time, depending on the time of year and what's going on. That's why I'm casual. That's why the YouTube's my outlet, because I am not casual at work. There's a job to be done, and it's going to get done. If it doesn't get done, you are not going to work for me. We'll see you later. I'll bring the next guy in, and here we go with them.
So the casual comic guy strictly for YouTube. Outside of YouTube, it's
well, and the wife and kid.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But at work is work. Work pays your
That's
bill.
right.
I'm getting paid to do a job. That job's going to get done because that's my when I accepted a job, that was my verbal contract with you. I would do the job and get the job done. And that speaks to my personal integrity. So I take that seriously.
Cool. Gary B., thank you for coming on for the first ever 10 questions on SmallTown Collectibles YouTube channel. I want to say to you, I just want to say thanks, honestly. One, for coming on, but two, for the support. I've told you in your comments many times, there's not a nicer guy that I've met in the community and who really puts his money where his mouth is when it comes to the support for the community. I've tried to follow in your footsteps with my channel with the shout out videos. I know you said Metarog is really the godfather of that. But,
really is.
But you know, when you kind of followed in his footsteps, and I in turn am following in yours and doing a shout out video, because I know people were shouting me out, and I would see my channel click up, and I just want to thank you, man, for the support. You've always been cool to me, and I wish you the best.
Oh, thank you, man. I want to thank you too. I haven't come on to do a live thing with anyone really, and when you reached out, I was nervous about it, but I also wanted to. I actually just wanted to talk to you, man. We've talked to each other so much in comments. We never had a face-to-face, and I'm really honored that I got to be your first guest. So if it doesn't take off, you can, blame my face. I'm 100% comfortable with that.
I'll absolutely do that. And that's, I mean, just FYI. I mean, it's all Gary B's fault if this thing doesn't work.
But no, thank you, really, man. I appreciate you picking me out of the crowd. It's a big crowd, and I'll never consider myself anything other than a small fish swimming in it. I'm just making my little waves here and there when I can.
Well, I do appreciate it, man, and I thank you for coming on. And Gary, just tell everybody where they can find you as far as your social media and YouTube and all that.
Right. So just YouTube, Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy, and then on Instagram at Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy. All you're going to do is find me talking books, talking about people I like, and hoping that everyone supports each other out there. Sub everyone up, everyone. Even if you can't watch content, I know that once you're in a couple hundred subscribers, either way, it's hard to watch a couple hundred videos a week. But keep the sub there. Just that sub alone will help somebody else out. Their content is 100% your bag, but they subbed you, sub them back. It's what we call doing a solid. Do your buddy a solid. At least give them a sub. And if you like their content, don't just watch the video. Drop a comment, even if it's like, hey, man, great video. Have a great night. That's it. I saw SmallTown Collectibles. I found him just because I was searching out boxes. I was looking, and I saw him opening a box. I clicked on his video, liked them, subbed them up, and here we are today, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no. So, guys, thanks for watching the video. Gary B., thank you for coming by. And as I always end my videos, until next time,
keep it casual.